Okay, so today what we're doing is learning how to grid a photograph. This photograph is going to be very specific to the project, the close-up self-portrait project that you will be working on. However, the same principles apply not only here, but in any photograph that you want to enlarge, so long as you're keeping things in proportional. What do I mean by keeping things in proportion? Well, this is a 4:6 image, so it's 4 inches by 6 inches. 4 inches wide and 6 inches tall, okay, in height. That's going to advance to a 16 by 24. 4, 8, 12, 16, okay? So it goes into that 4 times. 6, 12, 18, 24. 6 goes into that 16 by 24 4 times. So that's how you know if the proportions are going to be correct. Can these numbers go evenly and equally into what you are drawing? So you can't just pick a random size paper and hope that it works. You have to make sure your measurements are correct. In this case, your paper is cut at 16 by 24. I've printed out a 4:6 image of my lovely face. What we're going to do is start gridding this image so that we can advance the grid on the paper, and what that does is it helps narrow our drawing field so you can look at one square at a time to be able to draw things more proportionally and more accurately. So what you're going to need a ruler, you're going to need a meter stick, both of which you should have the ruler. I have the meter sticks. You're going to want a nice Sharpie. You're going to want a good pencil. Those are the things that you need. So let's get started. Let's look on here. We have this ruler. We're going to be doing our inches. You're going to grid this at every ½ inch. Every ½ inch is going to advance how we want it to over onto the final paper. So every ½ inch. So that's the mark right in between the 0 and the 1. And then you'll make your mark at your 1, and then your 1.5, and then your 2, then your 2.5, then your 3, and so on. So just watch me. It's pretty easy. So I'm making a bold mark at half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and then 4 will end at the paper. And then I'm coming over here and doing the same thing. Let me pull this down a little bit so you can see just a little bit better. Notice I'm sliding my ruler straight down. If you were to flip it the opposite direction, sometimes it throws off your proportions a little bit. You don't want that. So 1, half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4 ends the paper. And then I'm going to flip and repeat on all sides. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and one more time. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and then 6 ends the paper. The next step is taking your ruler, going to those little marks that you made, making sure that you're staying with the same one. I'm staying at my half and my half, and then I'm drawing a bold line straight down. And I'm going to repeat that until I do both sides. So if we look here, we've got everything all nice and even. I'm checking my lines to make sure everything's lining up nice and neat. You're not freehanding any of this. You are using that ruler to make sure everything is nice and tidy. Now, these pencil lines can be hard to see, so that's where the Sharpie comes in handy. I've done 2 of these just to speed things up for the video. So what you would do is on your original image, you would just go over those lines with Sharpie, again using your ruler, because you're not going to be able to freehand a straight line like that. The end product looks like this right here, all finished and gridded out, nice and neat. And that's how you do that. The lines on the outsides are fine. What you're worried about is all the stuff that's on the inside of the photograph. Now, this has to advance to a big sheet of paper, which I have sitting over here. So let's talk about the measurements and the proportions of that real quick. Every ½ inch on here, 1/2 inch on here, is going to advance to every 2 inches on the final paper. So every 1/2 is going to advance to 2 inches on the final. Now we have the big paper. This paper is the one that's going to be your final product, where the drawing is going to end up at. Very important, okay, to get these correct. On this one, all you're going to need is your pencil and your meter stick, okay? Remember, I said that every 1/2 inch on here is going to advance to every 2 inches on here. So we'll just put that to the side, and we'll take our meter stick, which we have right here, and we're going to measure out at every 2 inches. Boom. So 2, 4, 6, 8, counting up by 2s on the big paper here. So watch what I do. Every 2 inches. So kind of leaning over the table here because this is a big sheet of paper. So I've got, and you'll see my bald head here, I'm sorry, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay? That makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slots for you. And if we go back to look at our paper here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this advances exactly proportionate to what we need. Very important to us. So again, same principle as on the photo. I'm sliding this straight down to the bottom and gridding out from there, making my marks at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 ends the paper. And then I'm flipping it and doing the same thing this way. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. Slide your ruler straight down. Repeat along the bottom. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Then guys, this is not rocket science. You're doing the same thing as you did on your photograph. You are lining up those marks and drawing lightly. Absolutely zero pressure. Just let your pencil run over the surface. Zero pressure. You should almost not even be able to see those lines, because you don't want those lines to show up on the image when you're all said and done. You want them to be totally non-visible when the project is complete. So very lightly going over that. In fact, you can't even see them from this distance, but if I hold it up here close to you, then those lines become visible. Okay? So just keep on doing that until the whole work is done. Everything is gridded. Let me pull it up close here to show you. Okay? Everything is gridded. Now at this point, once everything is gridded, you're ready to begin drawing. You're ready to begin on this and really get things going, the drawing started. So I've already completed my drawing portion of this, so let me show you what that looks like once it's all gridded out. So remember, this was the photograph gridded. That's the photograph gridded. Okay, here's the final paper, okay, with the drawing complete. Final paper with the drawing complete. Let me pan that out just a little bit more and you can see that better, okay? Complete drawing. Alright, let me hold that up a little bit closer so you can see some of those details in there. Notice I did not draw super hard. My portrait is complete, completely drawn. At this point, you will be ready to move on to the ink wash on the final product.